Good day. I hope everybody is doing well. Wanted to cover underground slab prep um, in a house. This is a house that's being built here in Burke County, and um, it has a basement, full basement, as you can see, and the back of the house faces towards a lake, and the front of the house is open. It has a daylight basement wall here, which will be made out of 2x6s. And if we go over here and look at let's look at the foundation plan. Foundation plan, you'll see that the back walls are 2x8, 2x12, because this is going to be the majority of the backfill, and then the front wall here will be 2x6s. So let's go over to the job site and see how that is coming along. It's a very foggy morning on the lake, and as you will see, I will turn around and you will see the house that's under construction. Now the foundation wall is up, so the footings are poured and the basement walls are up, the concrete walls are up. And in the front you can see the daylight wall that will be put into place, and of course right now it's just kind of a muddy mess, and the typical job site with the outhouse. So right now the guys are spreading out gravel, and as you can see they're kind of short on some of the gravel over on these sides here. This is what's called a header block, and let me pause right here for just a minute and go back to this to kind of give you an idea of what this is going to look like. So here is that header block that I was talking about, and the concrete slab will be poured directly up to that header block. Now when the seal plate goes on there, this is a pressure treated 2x6 pressure treated seal plate. When that seal plate goes on there and you put drywall on it, then you won't see block. So if we use regular block, basically that block would come on up to there, and then you'd have this much of it sticking out and would look kind of ugly. So we use a header block here to keep this concrete underneath the wall so it looks much better. Also, for the first 2 feet there, you'll notice that, and I don't show it on my plans, for the first 2 feet we actually have insulation, 2 inches of rigid insulation there on that. So let's go back to the job site, and you'll see that 2 inches or 2 feet of 2-inch insulation and the header block here. Now these places here, there is actually concrete underneath that. So let's go back to the plan and look at what this is going to be. So if we're looking at the basement plan, I want to kind of note a couple of things to you as well. So let's go back over to this one rather. Sorry. This plan here is for the client. It's basically just gives them, how big the room is going to be, and so they can understand it. This is for the building purpose, so it's a lot more information. And what you're looking at are those bare spaces. There's actually concrete there. It's just got dirt on top of it, and it's hard to see what they actually are. But these are going to be 36 by 36 by 12-inch deep footings that's going to be used for the gang studs. Now a gang stud is put into place to help support girders that might be running overhead. So that's why those bare spots are there, because we want concrete all the way down on top of this. So if you'll see here, those bare spots is the top of this particular footing that you're seeing here. And we just don't put rock and gravel there so that the concrete can adhere to the footing on that. Something else you'll notice too, I want you to kind of pay attention to this. There is a shower in this back corner over here, And if you go back over to here, you see this concrete block right here. And later on in the video, I'm going to show you a close-up of this. But basically what's happening is we're going to pour this concrete all the way right up against and around this concrete block here. And then after it's cured, we can come back and bust it out very easily with a hammer. And then our space where our shower is going to go will be right there. So inside this is the shower, what do you call it? The shower plumber's trap, and it stops there, and they've laid a block on top of it, and that way we can knock it out later. But here are the footings that I was telling you about here and here. We put cardboard around all of our plumbing pipes because they have to be protected against abrasion from the concrete. So basically, when that cures, then the paper will, of course, be pulled out of it or can be left. And then the concrete will not adhere to it, and the pipe can expand and contract a little differently. So the sewer pipe runs out. It runs through the opening of the garage. And these footings are, and let me go back over to the plan, are the footings for the front. Okay, so we have some 2x2 by 1 foot deep footings there, and they will be for these supporting posts that you have here.
Andrews.
Of course, I'm talking through this as I'm videoing it. People are asking me questions. And at this point, this is going to be the inlet where the water pipe comes in. So the water pipe's going to come in here. We could have electrical pipe that's going to come in, or electricity that could come in here if it's under slab as well. And so we put it into another pipe that allows this to be put in place after the concrete. So let me back up here just a minute. So to say this again, this pipe here is put in when the footings are poured. These are put in afterwards, just so that we can get our rough ends done. But this pipe here is put in before the concrete footings are poured, so that it allows us a chase for this pipe here. So this actually protects these pipes from abrasion from the concrete.
Allowed in the office.
This is the 6 anchor bolts, and the anchor bolts are placed every 6 feet and within 1 foot of each end of the board. Then the sails of the concrete are poured solid across the top to bond that whole top together. And this is done all the way around the building. So let me show you that on the drawings. So if we go over to our section view, here is that anchor bolt, which I'm talking about. So the anchor bolt is used to hold this mud seal down. At this time, the wall has been parged. So a couple of things are going to happen here. We're going to put a parging on here. So parging is nothing more than Portland cement and sand mix, 1 to 3, and we place this on the block first before the foundation coating is placed on. Here is that concrete block that I was telling you about. So this concrete block has the pipes for the shower underneath here. There is a plumbing P underneath here, and it runs over here to the vent and then on out. So basically we can just take a hammer, we can pop this center piece out here, dig this and clean this out, and then we have access to put our shower drain in. All pipes have to be protected from the concrete abrasion. And those are those interior footings. Also, the pipe has to be, the supply pipe has to be pressurized, and generally it's not pressurized to 100 psi, but it has to be pressurized, and so that the inspector can come and see that everything is okay and it's sealed up and there's not going to be any leaks underneath the slab. The DWV, or drain waste vent, does not have to be pressurized because it is never under pressure. So as we roll out the 6mm PVB and pull it out, it's got to go from wall to wall, and it takes a lot of effort to try to kind of get this plastic pulled out the way it should be. Every penetration from where the pipes are sticking out must be cut so that the plastic lays flat across the ground. Overlaps are made where pieces of plastic join so that you have proper protection there, so that you don't have any water leakage up into the concrete. Now, we don't seal that in any fashion. No kind of sealant goes on there to hold it, but it does need to overlap. Then the finishing piece is put in. And again, this is where the garage door will be. I think it's a garage door. It may not be a garage door. Let's go back and look at the plan. I think it's actually just a double door. It is. It is just a double door. So we just have a double door there. I was thinking it was a garage for some reason, but there is a double door there. Now comes the fun part. These are the 5x10 metal panels, the 6x6 1010 woven wire mesh. And there is a top and a bottom on these. So basically the crown of these go up, and you'll see as they put them down here, where they actually turn them to where the crown is up, so that the ends will be in a down position rather than in an up position. And these, even though these are not a roll, these are still, they can be very nasty to manipulate sometimes. The roll, however, is probably the absolute worst application you could ever get. They come in a 5 foot wide, 150 foot long roll. Insurance. And these also are overlapped so that we have good concrete bondage there. They pulled him out. And of course they've got to be worked. It's kind of hard to see, but there is a little bit of a crown in this. You can see this only because he's got a hold of it. But you've heard me talk about Gus. This is my friend Gus here. And so he's working, cutting these pieces here with a bolt cutter. You couldn't use just like end snips or wire cutters. You really have to get some bolt cutters on there to get that thing to work correctly. So all of the panels are cut so that they fit in place and overlap and are good for the concrete to be I should turn off my email notifications while I'm doing these, so that the concrete has good reinforcement throughout and prevents and helps to prevent cracking. So we put the last piece in, and notice that he doesn't cut that to fit. A lot of times there's just a bunch of waste of a wire and so forth, so it's not really cut, and we just overlap it, and now the job is complete and ready for concrete. Job well done. Okay guys, so I will continue on with some other videos soon, and we'll see what we can get done. Thanks guys. So I went back out there today, and the slab is poured. They've done a very good job of it. I wanted to show you how this header looked, and that's a poured header. So now you can see how the concrete goes right up to the edge and it looks really nice and clean. It's poured all the way up to the walls, and then saw joints are put in place to help control cracks. So let me explain to you about that crack there. So let's go back over to our drawing here, and we'll go down here. So here's our concrete slab, and every so often we're going to put in a saw joint. And that saw joint allows for a weakness in this concrete here, so that if it's going to crack, it cracks right in place of this, and it looks terrible underneath it there, but then up here it's going to look nice and straight as we go across the top of it. And that's all. It's only about 1.5 inches deep, but the slab is 4 inches thick, so it would be the weakest point in that. And there's going to be a wall at this point too that will actually set over that, so it will actually hide that line as well. You can see here where we've got the pipe in here so it doesn't get any kind of concrete abrasion. Here's our block that we had. So we'll just come back and we'll knock this center piece out, and we'll be able to put the shower in. We've got our cardboard around the pipes so that we don't have any abrasion on them as well.